Coming up, the second most important day of Lafayette's life, the Barber of Saville in the American Revolutionary War, and who was Louis Gonzaga? Welcome to Living Lafayette. For the Lafayette Alliance in LaGrange, Georgia, I'm Richard Ingram. Summer of 1775. Lafayette was 17 years old. He was at Metz in northeastern France on military maneuvers with the Army of the East. He was a captain in the Noailles Dragoons, and he was there with his two best friends, the Vicomte de Noailles and the Comte de Ségur. The Vicomte de Noailles, recall, was his brother-in-law, and the Comte de Ségur would soon become his uncle-in-law. The Three Musketeers, first edition. There was intrigue afoot at Metz. The commandant was Victor Francois, the second Duc de Broglie, B-R-O-G-L-I-E, de Broglie. De Broglie was 57 years old. He had fought in the War of Austrian Succession, where Lafayette's uncle died. He had fought at the Battle of Minden in the 7 Years' War, where Lafayette's father died. The 7 Years' War, you recall, in America was the French and Indian War, which the French lost in 1763. And de Broglie was now out in this outpost at Metz. Undervalued, he thought, underused. De Broglie wanted back in the game. In fact, he thought about organizing a regiment and a frontal assault on England, and then thought better of it. Besides, those 13 insurgent British colonies in North America offered, he thought, a better vehicle. In June of 1775, the Continental Congress had established the Continental Army. And a day after, they named George Washington as Commander-in-Chief. George Washington. He was a novice. He was a farmer, after all. Surely the Continental Congress would like to have seasoned officers in their Continental Army. De Broglie thought that the Continental Congress simply needed to know that there were French officers who were the best in the world, that he was the best of those officers, and that he was available. So he had a scheme in mind. Since France was at peace, de Broglie would recruit French officers, insinuate them into the Continental Army. The Continental Congress would see prestige and courage, and that would foment, naturally, logically, a call for a French commander-in-chief, and de Broglie would be at their service to replace George Washington. So that was the big strategy. Now, it was lacking in the details, so the tactics were a little fuzzy. Number one, he wasn't sure how he was going to get the French officers commissioned in the Continental Army. Number two, how was he going to get them transported over there? So some things had to be worked out. But he shared this ambition with his three closest confidants. First, there was the Baron Johann de Kalb. De Kalb was born in Germany, what is now Germany. And he spoke fluent German, of course, but also spoke fluent French and English. When he was 22, he joined a German regiment in the French army, and he fought in the 7 Years' War. He retired, married a French heiress, bought a chateau near Versailles, and settled in. In 1768, King Louis XV was very interested in supporting those insurgents in North America in their fight for independence against Great Britain, against England. But Louis XV was not interested in getting involved unless they were serious about a break. So he needed to find out. So he asked his Minister of Foreign Affairs, that would be the Duc de Choiseul, to find out whether or not America was in earnest about a break. Well, Choiseul tapped Baron de Kalb to go to America. He spoke English, you remember. To go to America and explore. So Baron de Kalb in 1768 went to Philadelphia, spent 4 months there, and returned with a report. He was impressed with this spirit of independence, but he didn't think America was prepared to make the break as yet. Louis XV was disappointed. Baron de Kalb was de Broglie's right-hand man. The second confidant was the Vicomte de Monroy. Monroy was some 20 years older than Lafayette, and if not cynical, he was skeptical. Monroy thought that all men were motivated by greed, period. No commas, no stuttering. It was pure self-interest and greed. He spoke his mind. Louis Gottschalk said that these two men, Baron de Kalb and Vicomte de Monroy, that they were cool and competent men. The third confidant was Secretary de Beaumartin. This was de Broglie's secretary, and de Beaumartin had a younger brother, Lieutenant de Beaumartin, who was in the army. We'll hear from him later. So these were the three confidants, and de Broglie shared this ambition with those three. And now they were on the look for how they could unfold this scheme, this plan. Prince William Henry was the younger brother of King George III of England. Prince William was traveling the continent with his wife Maria Walpole. They were in mourning. Their 9-month-old daughter, Caroline, in March of 1775, had been inoculated with smallpox. Caroline died. So they were traveling the continent now on that account, but there were other reasons. Prince William was on the outs at the court of St. James. He was not on good terms with King George III, and there were two reasons for that. First of all, Prince William, Duke of Gloucester and of Edinburgh, Prince William had married Maria Walpole. She was the illegitimate niece of writer Horace Walpole, illegitimate daughter of Edward Walpole, who was the youngest son of Robert Walpole, Sir Robert Walpole, the first Prime Minister of England and one of the longest serving, over 20 years. Royalty did not marry people who were illegitimate, period. Prince William had not told King George III, his brother, about the marriage until after the fact. George III was not pleased. But the second reason these two were on the outs with one another was that Prince William supported the 13 North American colonies. He thought they deserved more freedom, they deserved more representation in Parliament, and Prince William was very vocal about it. So, Prince William was traveling the continent. The Duc de Broglie at Metz was aware of this. So de Broglie invited Prince William to Metz, a banquet in his honor. And to that banquet, de Broglie invited junior officers. That would include the Vicomte de Noailles, the Comte de Ségur, and Lafayette. Tuesday, August the 8th, 1775. It's where these junior officers, those three in particular, the Three Musketeers, first edition, heard in earnest about the Continental Congress, the Continental Army. They heard about Lexington and Concord, George Washington. They heard about these merchants and farmers who had coalesced together to fight the most powerful, one of the powerful armies in the world. The Vicomte de Noailles was sold. He was ready to go to America and fight alongside Americans. The Comte de Ségur sold. Lafayette was not just sold, Lafayette was taken.